Welcome in, you guys. We are going to be doing square roots of negative numbers. So if you know anybody that's doing complex numbers or polynomials, this is the live for them. Welcome in. Hey, Al. Hi, welcome. Alrighty, so we have this first one. So how I like to do these, hi, Anna. How I like to do these is I like to do the tree. They call it, I forgot what it's really called, but I do the tree stems. So I say, can you please do 8th grade math? Yes, I can. So I'm doing a couple of these. I do have to pick up my kids like in a little bit, but I do plan on getting back on after I get my friends. Hey, the Mix family. Hey, friend. Hey. So I can do 8th grade after this one, okay? When I can jump back on later tonight, all right? So we're going to do what times what gives us 48, okay? So 8 times 6 or 6 times 8 gets us 48. And then we're going to say what times what gets us 6? Well, 2 times 3. Oh, somebody said they needed this earlier. Oh, man. Well, it's going to hopefully it shows up on your final and then you'll be able to do beast mode on it then. Okay, good. So 2 times 3. Perfect. What about 8? What times what gets us 8, you guys? 4 times 2. A said 4 times 2. Perfect. Yep. 4 times 2. And then what times what gets us 4? 2 times 2. Now, remember, whenever you take the square root of a negative number, that is actually an I. Okay, so we're just going to write that to the side. Okay, remember, our I is equal to the square root of a -1. Okay, that's what this an imaginary I. So now we're going to write our primes. So this is what we really have. We have 2 times 2. Okay, because it's 2 times 2 times another 2 times 3. When you're taking the square root of something, you're looking for pairs. Okay, and why that is because a square root is actually, there's an imaginary 2 in there. So that's why we look for pairs. Okay, once you find those pairs, they come out as 1. Okay, so how I always try to think about this, I think about a marriage, right? They're two individual people, but in order for their marriage to work, they come out as 1 or they become 1, right? Supposedly. We hope, right? So that's why you only write 1, 2 and not 2, okay? Oh, thank you, Mike, for the roses. So this is another 2, okay? 2 2s, it comes out as 1. You're supposed to become 1. Now, this guy is lonely. It doesn't have a pair. It hasn't found its match. So in order for this guy not to be alone, it has to stay underneath the square root until it gets a partner. So that's how I look at these. I make it like real life. And that's how my brain works. Okay. So if you don't get the story, it's okay. But basically you taking out pairs. This guy's only, it stays underneath the square root. Okay. So now we do 2 times 2 is 4. Don't forget our I. Whenever you take a square root of a negative number, you put it as an I. And then you're left with square root 3. And this is our answer. Ari, I'm glad you love math. Thank you for all the follows and the double taps, you guys. Thank you. Thank you, JB, for the rose. All right, let's look at number 2, you guys. Can somebody tell me what times what gets us 63? Can somebody put that in the chat? 9 times 7. Excellent. Yes. Thank you, Lily, for the roses. So we have 9 times 7. Now, you guys see, I'm not writing a negative on here, okay? Because I know when you square root a negative, the I is going to be afterward, okay? So don't worry. Just try to get what times what gets us a 63 part, okay? So what times what gets us 9? 3 times 3. Now we stop here. So some people might be like, well, how do you know when to stop? You stop when the number is a prime. And a number is a prime when you can only multiply itself times 1. Because if I would have asked you guys what times what gets you 7, you would have told me 1 times 7. And so we don't write the 1, so that's how we know we stop, okay? So now I'm going to write this square root again. Remember, the square root means there's an imaginary 2 in there, okay? So I'm going to write 3 times 3 and times 7. Now, again, we have a negative, so we can times that -1. Okay, I'm looking for a group, a pair, okay, 2, a couple, okay? So this couple is going to come out as 1, okay? This 7 is lonely, so it has to stay underneath the square root because it doesn't have its match. This -1 comes out as an I. That's a rule, okay? Whenever you take the square root of a negative number, it comes out as an I. So we're left with square root 7. And this is our beautiful answer. Oh, I'm missing some of the chat. Thank you, JB, for the star. Why -1? Why is this -1? It's because we have a -63. So what we did is I didn't look at the negative. I just said what times what gets me 63. So 9 times 7. And then what times what gets me 9 is 3 times 3. But I can't forget this. This is a -1 because a -1 times 63 gets me a -63. That's how I get a -63. -1 times 63. And so the rule says, so I want to reiterate this, a square root of a -1 is an imaginary number. That's what I means. It's an imaginary number. So they just put I, okay? All right. Okay, let's try number 3, you guys. Let's try number 3. So what times what gets us 72? 9 times 8. Good. 9 times 8. Good. So, or 8 times 9. Perfect. So we're going to do 9 times 8. Then can somebody put in the chat what times what gets us 8? Well, you see 8 right here, right? We did that. So we did 4 times 2. That's the good thing. Like when you already do it, like you already have the work. And then 4 times 4 is 2 times 2. Perfect. Yep. 2 times 4. Perfect, you guys. And then what times what gets us 9? Well, we just did that. We did 3 times 3 gets us 9. So each of these legs should be, if we're multiplying, should get us to the number up top, okay? So this is prime, this is prime, this is prime, this is prime, and this is prime. And we write out our square root. I'm going to put my -1 times my 2 3s and my 3 2s. Doesn't that sound crazy? It's like, what? It's like 3 2 times and 2 3 times, right? Okay. So now what am I looking for? Can somebody tell me what am I looking for to take out? Why not 4? Okay. Somebody said, why not 4? Pairs. Itzy said pairs. Perfect. I'm going to address that. Okay. So I'm looking for pairs. Okay. Because this is a square root. So remember, square root means a 2 right here. So you're looking for pairs. And so if we take out a pair, this is 1 3 that I can take out. I can take out a 2 right here. And then this 2 is lonely. So it must remain in the square root. But remember, a negative square root comes out as an I. So then we do 3 times 2 is 6, I square root 2. Now, I love that question. Somebody said, why can't we just do 4? Well, you most definitely can. So we could have done 9 times 4 times 2. But you only want to do it this way if you're good at taking square roots of perfect squares. See, a perfect square is a number times itself. So 9 is a perfect square because 3 times 3. So if you know the square root of 9, that comes out as a 3. The square root of 4 comes out as 2. And then this square root 2 just stays in there. And I forgot the -1. So then we're going to make that an I. So you can get the exact same problem. Oh, sorry, you guys can't see it. If you, that's the good thing about math. There's no one way, you guys. So some people see it this way by doing all the primes. Some people see it by perfect squares. Like, okay, I can square root 9, I can square root 4 and get 3 and 2. So there's multiple ways. Some people could have solved this as, what is another combination? We could have done 6 times 12. Or could have solved that way. There's multiple ways, you guys. Okay. Oh no, my phone is freezing. Why does it do that? Okay. Oh, good. It's coming back. Okay. So this is some more square roots. Let's see what we have next. Some people were asking, can we do some solving equations? So I wanted to get to this as well before. So let's solve a couple of these, okay? Oh, you are so welcome, Cherry. Okay, so it says 5x squared plus 45 equals 0. Okay. The first thing we want to do is, I want to solve for x squared. So I'm trying to get this 45 to the other side. Can somebody tell me how I get a positive 45 to the other side? Thank you, Seabass. Good. Mars said subtract 45. I love it. Good. So we subtract 45 to both sides. Okay. And this cancels. And we have 5x squared equals 0 minus 45 gives us a negative 45. Remember, my whole goal is to get this x squared by itself. So what is my step here? What can I do to get the x squared by itself now? Then divide by 5. Excellent. Excellent. So we're going to divide each side by 5 because whenever you have a number attached to a variable, they're multiplied together. And to undo multiplication, you must divide. Okay. So we have x squared equals negative 45 divided by 5 is a negative 9. Okay. Now, does anybody know how to get rid of a square? How do we cancel out a square? Good. I see those divide 5s coming in. I love it. Does anybody remember how to cancel out a square? Square root. Yes, Elena. Yes, square root. Excellent. So we square root both sides. And let me make this make sense to you guys, okay? If we change this, so we have x squared equals negative 9, right? If we want to cancel this, what a square root means is it's a half as an exponent. So the square root is actually written as a half. And that's why when you times this, when you're taking the square root of something, really what you're doing is you're doing 2 times a half. And 2 times a half is 1. That's why you're left with x, because they cancel each other. That's why they really cancel each other, is because a square root can be written as a half in exponential form. Okay. And then this is what we just warmed up in. So we know the square root of any negative comes out as an I. And then again, if you need to take these steps, right? If you have to take these steps and do 3 times 3, right? To see what 9 is, put it under your square root and do 3 times 3. Circle your pair, have it come out as 1. It is 3i. Oh, shooky. What did I just forget? Whenever you take a square root of a number, can somebody put me in the chat? What answers are you supposed to have when you have a x squared? Sorry, you guys, my phone said low battery. Good. Some people are putting it in there. Yes, the plus and minus. Exactly. When you take a square root of a number, you always do a plus and a minus. So you have two answers. Another hint that tells you how many answers you have is the exponent on the x. So if this is a cube, I'm supposed to have 3 answers. If it's a 2, I'm supposed to have 2 answers. Okay, so however many, whatever your power is how many answers you're supposed to have. Okay, and then some people write it like this. They write it as plus or minus 3i. Okay, that's another way they write it instead of writing it out like this. Okay. All right. So let's do number. I'm gonna put this back in my hold on, you guys. I'm gonna put it back in the on the thing. Okay. So number 2. What's our very first step? Minus 24. CP. Yes. So we do the opposite of addition. So I have to minus 24 to both sides. This cancels. And then I have 4x squared equals a negative 24. Excellent, you guys. Ooh, type said divide by 4. Love it, love it, love it. Yes, we're going to divide both sides by 4. And why we're doing that is because whenever you have a number attached to a variable, they're multiplied. So you have to do opposite of multiplying, which is divide, okay? So now we have x squared equals negative 24 divided by 4 is a negative 6. Okay, good. Sarah said square root. You guys are on it. I love it. Yayo said square root. Polly said square root. Perfect. Square root, square root. But a question comes. How would I write this? Because can I square root 6? Leave it? Ooh, somebody said leave it. Square root 6? No. Okay. But good, we can't actually leave this. And why we can't leave it is woods. Okay, some people said 6i, but that's not quite right either. So why it is because whenever you square root a number, you have to put plus or minus, right? Now, don't forget, the square root of a negative 1 is equal to I. So I can write the I, but I get a perfect answer. Plus or minus I square root 6. Okay. Ooh, somebody said 3 square root 2. Be careful here because what times what gets you 6? Well, only 3 times 2 gets you 6. When you're taking the square root of something, you're looking for a pair. We have no pair of 3 and we have no pair of 2. So we just have to keep it 6. Nothing can come out of there. Okay. Oh, somebody asked a question. Let me see. Oh, thank you. So somebody said, I have a test tomorrow on this too. Well, good. I'm glad I'm doing this then. Somebody, okay, he loves said, but was it supposed to be done by difference of squares or we do it in different ways? Ooh, let's talk about that difference of squares. Okay. This right here is not a difference of squares. The original problem here is not a difference of squares because we have a plus sign here. It can only be a difference of squares if this is minus sign. And also this would have to be a perfect square. So that's why we can't do a difference of squares here. So a difference of squares would look like this. 4x squared minus, let's do 16. This is an example of a difference of squares. Okay, that's an example because it has a minus and this is a perfect square. This is a perfect square, which is totally different than this. Okay, so that was a great question. Thank you for asking that. All right, let's go to number 3, you guys. Let's go to number 3. Okay, so we have negative 9x squared equals 9. Okay. Ooh, so what do we do on number 3? What's our first thing that we're going to do? Does anybody know? Okay. Step 1, divide. Perfect. Yes, so we're going to divide both of these by negative 9. Thank you, yo boy. Thank you so much for the gift. Perfect, because whenever you have a number attached to a variable, they are multiplied. We cannot add. No, no, no. I want to clear this up right now because I don't want you to make this mistake on your test. See, the difference here between this and the difference between this, these are two extremely different problems. See, here I would have to add the 9 because how they are attached here. But whenever you have a number attached to a variable, they are multiplied. And to undo multiplication, you have to divide. These are two different, okay? So I want to clarify that. We cannot add here because they are multiplied together, okay? So this cancels and we get x squared equals a negative 1. Oh, thank you, Will, for the roses. All right, our last step always, square root, square root. Okay, so we get x equals, what do we get? Can I see those answers in the chat? Thank you so much for the roses. I. X equals I. Good. Plus or minus. Thank you, Sarah. Oh, thank you, Jalen. Plus or minus I. Because remember, this tells you how many answers you're supposed to have. So if you just write I, you're forgetting the negative I. Okay. All right, you guys, I have to run. I'm going to jump back on tonight, probably around 8 o'clock tonight. Okay. And then it's going to be a free for all. So if you are a subscriber, I'm going to jump on. You tell me what you want me to cover, and we're just going to have a blank paper and we're going to be doing math. Okay. So I can help as many people as I can. All righty. Thank you. I'll see you guys later today if you guys jump back on. Bye.